Good morning, everybody. It is another beautiful day in the Canadian wilderness. Today we're looking to go on a little bit of an adventure. So I got the maps out here, and we're going to try to go from here, this is where we are, up through, around to the second map, up around here to, where'd he go? There, to Craig. That's our goal for the day. Trying to get there. Should be easy. I just have to figure out how to read these maps. So today's daily challenge is to figure out how to get us from here, which I found, to Craig. Here we go. There's a very good chance I may have not a good idea of where we are on this map, but I'm gonna figure it out quick. We could literally be at any one of these islands. Give me a second and I'll try to figure it out. Alright, so I figured out the problem. What happened was we started around here, and our goal was to kind of follow this red line all the way up and around to a different map, but instead I kind of went around here to this nice little dead end. So all I have to do now is go around here, get back on track. It's just a minor mishap. Alright, so we had to cut the boat ride just a little bit short. Apparently, when you go 5 miles in the wrong direction, you use a little more gas than you had planned for. So we had to kind of settle for this. We were planning on going to Craig Island, that you remember earlier, which is supposed to be this great beach with a bunch of sand, and we could have lunch and a lot of great fishing nearby. But instead, we found our own little beach. We're just going to have some lunch here and head back, do some fishing along the way, and see what we can do. So overall, I wouldn't call it a total failure. Definitely some failure, but not a total failure. So we just got back from fishing, and now time to get in the Word. I'm ashamed of myself. Thought I had a good handle on things. I think the problem really started when I had to use this pirate ship-sized treasure map to get us there. You see, we were starting down here, supposed to go somewhere up here on a second map. And you see where this could be a problem with this map trying to read it and steer the boat at the same time. It was just never gonna happen. So, I'm sorry, family, that I didn't get us there. No, really, I promise you, we did have a lot of fun. It just didn't go exactly how we planned. Like I said before, we tried to go to Craig Island, to this nice beach, but we ended up somewhere else. But we had a blast. Anyway, I'll talk about some of my highlights later. But first, I want to talk about this devotion that we just read about shame. I think shame is something that we can all relate to. I know when I was reading it, I was just thinking of the times in my past where I have felt this guilt and shame inside to a point where you can like feel it in your chest, where it hurts almost. I know there's even been times in my past where I have wanted to cut God off from my day. I just did not want to talk to him about it because I just didn't want to bring it before him. I didn't want to have to be vulnerable with God in that way. So I just bottled it up and I kept it inside. And like Mike talked about, that is the worst thing that we can do because one, we weren't built for it. We weren't meant to have all this shame inside of us. And two, God doesn't want us to have shame. You see, when we screw up and we sin, the last thing he wants us to do is to cut ourselves off from him and back away. He wants us to come to him. He wants us to come before him and admit to him that we need him. Because the second that we think we've got it under control and we can take care of it, we're just covering up with fig leaves. When what God wants is for us to come to him so he can clothe us with actual clothes. The devotion did a great job of talking about shame, so I don't want to just keep talking about it over and over again, but there is one thing that I wanted to focus on, and that's this idea that we shouldn't be bottling up our shame. We shouldn't just keep it to ourselves. We're not made for that. I know from my own personal experience, I know from others who have told me, when we build up this shame inside of us, when we just keep it in and we don't let anybody else know, it hurts us. Like I said before, you can physically feel shame inside of you, and you just kind of cut yourself off from others and certain people, like people who stop going to church because they just feel guilty. And I just want to encourage you that if you are feeling any shame, first, just bring it before God. He already knows. Just bring it before Him. Be vulnerable in that way and build your intimacy with Him. And second, just talk to someone about it. I know it's really hard sometimes to admit the things that we've done, the sin in our life, but I want to encourage you that talking about your sin with someone else, admitting your sin, and sometimes having to deal with those consequences, it is so much better than just bottling up and hiding from it. You can experience true freedom by admitting your sin, by giving it to God and giving up control for yourself and saying, you know what, God, I'm sorry I screwed up. Please forgive me. And that's when you can experience true freedom, and there's nothing like it in the world. Time for today's highlight reel. So, as you may remember, I got my family what some may call lost, what I call an adventure, they call a waste of time. But it was still a lot of fun. On the way back, we did a lot of fishing, and so my highlight turned low light to highlight was I hooked this walleye. And so I was reeling it in, and it was close. We got it right up to the boat. My dad was about to go down and net it, and it spit out the lure. And I was pretty bummed that I didn't get that fish, but it wasn't 30 seconds later, my dad threw out his lure and hooked that same walleye, and he got it in, and he managed to get it in the boat, lucky him. And so we ended up getting the walleye. So we're going to have a delicious fish dinner tonight, which I'm looking forward to. Second, because it's such a nice day, me and my brother, we just hung out the front of the cabin here and played some catch with the baseball. Haven't done that in a while. That was a lot of fun. And lastly, my last highlight of the day, which I am super excited about. Last night I stayed up extra late and set up my camera to get a time lapse of the stars. Because there's no light pollution out here, we're far away from the city, you can see so many more stars than you could in the city. And so I set up my camera to get a time lapse, which I will show you right now. How cool was that? All right, everyone, that's going to do it for me today. I want to encourage you, if you haven't, to dig into those ask questions from the devotional. Today, when it comes to shame, it's something that I really encourage you. Do not hang on to it. Bring it before God. Talk to someone about it. Don't let it bring you down. Remember, you are defined by who God says you are, not how your shame makes you feel. Have a beautiful day.